Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 14, season 2 of Sipping Tea with Stacy T. I'm Stacy. Hopefully, you're having a great Saturday. It's been Saturday, man. It's been Saturday. Saturday is Saturdering. I know, I made up a word. I did. But yeah, things don't always go as planned, which is why I'm at a different time right now. I appreciate you joining in. But today, guess what, y'all? We have a new tea. Today's tea is called, it's from a brand called Allegro Tea. There you go. Allegro Tea. And this is organic ginger peach black tea. So it is, they call it a smooth peach and a spicy ginger. So let's see. Let's check it out. I've never heard of this brand. I looked it up and it had some good ratings. People tended to like it, but we shall see. We shall find out on our own. So this is the packet. This is an unboxing. I've never opened it. I literally got it in the mail. I'm opening it now for the first time. Regular size tea bag. It says use 1 ounce, 1 tea bag in 6 to 8 ounces of water, steep for 3 to 4 minutes. And it says it has organic black tea, organic ginger, organic peach flavor, organic licorice root. Ugh, I don't know about that. So we'll see. I see licorice and immediately I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a licorice fan, but we'll see. So let's do the smell test. It's interesting. So I definitely smell the peach. I don't know what else I'm smelling. I'm smelling something else. So let's see. I'm gonna put it in the hot water. Let it do its thing. And then we shall find out. We shall see. So again, this is Allegro tea, ginger peach. It's supposed to be spicy ginger and then smooth peach. So we'll see. Maybe that's the smell that I'm smelling, but I'm not sure, honestly. But it's been a while since I've had a new tea, so I'm excited about that. Today, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about, a couple of things. First of all, a quick kind of announcement, which I'm really excited about. So I told you all that I'm going to be writing a play, and your girl wrote the first scene already. First scene, I'm 2 scenes in right now. So really excited. I don't know why that just turned off out of nowhere. The light just turned off, y'all. So hopefully you can still see me. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. I'm telling you, it's going to be one of those days. There we go. We're back. But yeah, so I wrote the first scene and I was very excited about completing the first scene. And typically, for those of you who have not seen my plays or productions, my first scenes tend to be shorter scenes. It's really about, introducing the character, whetting the appetite a little bit. And then my second and my third scenes, typically my third scene tends to be a lot meatier. My second scene is just, I'm already liking it because you know how when you read or hear a play, you fall in love with certain characters. I tend to love my comedic characters in my plays, and so my comedic character makes her presence known in scene number 2, and already I'm liking her attitude and all that. So yeah, y'all, I'm excited. I haven't, truthfully, in the past year, I would say I haven't really been this excited about something. So maybe sounds sad to some people, but it's nice to have something to look forward to, something that is special for you. And like for me, one of the reasons why writing, especially writing plays, has been special for me is because I feel like it's a way that God talks to me directly. And when you're like waiting for God's voice or listening for God's voice, and then he speaks to you in a direct way. Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it feels good. So that's in the works. I plan on writing another scene today, and I'm not putting a time frame on it like I did with the book, because that was a whole disaster, me doing that. And there was definitely reasoning why I feel like the book wasn't supposed to be complete. And I think that a lot of that was, first of all, I put a time frame on it as opposed to, me saying, God, when do you want this to be done or out? And I don't think that that's bad. I think that you can absolutely, schedule some things or have plans to do some things. But I was putting a lot of pressure on me. And one of the things that I recognized, and I don't know if I said this on the last episode or not, but I've been talking about it this week, is, I related a lot of my inability to write this book to what I was feeling with the end of my relationship. So at the end of my relationship, I felt like a failure and I let people down and all of that. Um, and I felt like I, wasn't, I wasn't enough or wasn't chosen or whatever, right? So there was a lot of emotion that I was managing. And I feel like me not being able to finish the book actually ignited those same feelings. I felt like a failure. I felt like I let people down. I felt like I wasn't enough. Like I didn't know how to get this done. It's not something I know how to do. So I felt like a fish out of water. Um, and so sometimes, and what I will say about the emotions regarding the end of my relationship, I felt like I had managed them, but I do know and recognize now that there was a lot of my emotion that I kind of tucked away like I used to always do, compartmentalize and just tucked it into a compartment. I dealt with some of it, I managed some of it, but in truth, I feel like the part of it that might have been too much for me to handle at the time, or I didn't feel like I could process it without like falling apart. I feel like I tucked that away. And I can make all the reasonings why, and they may sound logical, but a lot of it was that I just didn't feel like I could handle it at the time. But I was really managing feelings of failure. I was like, man, Stacey, you got so close to the quote unquote promised land of marriage, and you still couldn't pull it off, girl. And so there was a lot of me feeling that way about myself, and the enemy being like, yeah, that's correct. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be like, Stacey, don't be mean to yourself. Don't think that way. But he's like, yes, dial into that emotion, sit there. So when the book wasn't done and I was feeling all those things about that, God actually recently just gave me the clarity of like how those two feelings connected. Very different experiences, very different scenarios, but I felt like unsuccessful in both of them. And then in both arenas, I felt like I let people down and I felt like I was not enough and I didn't have what it took to make it work and all that stuff. Um, so all that to say, sometimes you'll have a situation happen in your life and you don't really understand the why you're experiencing it, and it obviously doesn't feel good. But there are going to be sometimes God will have to relate something that is, because to me writing the book was a distraction in a way, and it was also something that I was feeling proud of. um but again, you have to make sure that you're not avoiding your emotional output, your emotional experience, because that's important. It's important to manage that. It's important to express it. It's important to sit with it, not necessarily live there, but I've said that multiple times, but to actually sit with it. And I also want to share that because, I've been on a healing journey since February. And I think that sometimes when people hear that, they assume like they're not going to have any repeated patterns of behavior. They're not going to have any shortcomings. They're not going to have any challenges as far as navigating it and how you feel and all that. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. And, where you can show up for in grace for other people, you have to navigate that for yourself. Um, because one, you have to do that. Like we have to show up that way. God gives us grace all the time and we don't give it to ourselves. That's one thing. But the other thing is to navigate what it is to show up in grace, because without it, you're basically constantly just nitpicking everything about yourself. You're always talking negatively about yourself. You're never speaking life into the situation, and we need to be doing that. So that is the catch up on all of those things. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, which is what does it look like to date in your 40s? Fun topic, isn't it? No, not so much, because I didn't think I was going to have to do that again. But here we are. So, all right. So I've been letting this steep for definitely the amount of time. It smells pretty good, y'all. So like the one that I have had before, the white peach ginger, the one that's from Revolution, it smells a little bit similar to that. However, I am smelling, they said this is a spicy ginger, so I am smelling something like that. So let's give it a try. It tastes good. It tastes good. I don't really, I mean, I do taste a little, maybe a tiny bit of spice, but it's not like overwhelming or overpowering. And I guess for most people, they wouldn't want it to be. But when they said spice, I was thinking it was going to be more like spicy along the lines of like chai tea. You guys know that spicy chai tea is my favorite. So I thought maybe it was going to be along those routes. And I do, again, I taste a little bit of it, but it's definitely not, it's not what I thought it was going to be as far as spicy level. Overall, I give it out of 10. I probably give it a good 7. I give it a good 7. It's good. It's good. I would recommend it. I would definitely say for somebody who likes ginger, who likes peach, they should have it. But again, if you're expecting either of those flavors to be like really pronounced, they blend very well. So it's not like you're getting an overwhelming flavor of either of them. And again, that's not bad, y'all. That's not bad. All right. So this is, I'm going to hold it up again. Allegro tea, organic ginger peach black tea. All right. And I have a couple more, y'all. I'm excited. You're going to notice there's going to be a lot of derivations of peach. Why? Because I like, hey, Kathy, because I like peach tea. So you're going to see a lot of different types of peach tea. I just put in the honey. Tastes good, y'all. It tastes good. All right. So let's get into this. Dating. And this is an interesting thing. Dating in your 40s, I definitely without a doubt will say it is way different than dating in your 20s, dating in your 30s. Why? For a variety of reasons. But what I will say is, people, and it's, I don't know why people say this, to be honest with you. Age ain't nothing but a number. You'll hear people say that. That's a lie. That's a lie. First of all, my joints alone will tell you that that's a lie, right? But I think in truth, there's a lot that changes based on what you've lived and what you've experienced just through living, right? Now, I'm not going to say there are some people, and there's always going to be an exception to every rule, that, some people had a lot that they've dealt with in this short period of time, right? So, yes, of course, there's always going to be that. But overall, right, if we're looking at the general way that people show up and experience life, 100%, what the length of time that you lived is going to impact how you show up in life, right? In my 20s, what was my goal in dating? I just, if I'm going to be honest, I thought I was going to be married in my 20s. Like, I easily was like, okay, I'm going to graduate from college. Maybe I'll, go and do a couple of things, 1, 2 over here. Maybe I'll travel a little bit, but then I'm going to get married. Like, that's just going to be the way it is. So I thought maybe 26, maybe 27 on the long end, on the far end. That might be the age. Well, y'all, I'm in my 40s. So clearly that did not happen. In my 30s, I feel like I started to feel a little bit more comfortable in my skin. Had been through a lot in my 20s, had lost a lot. Both my brother and my father passed away in my 20s. So there was a lot of loss, a lot of disconnection from that type of a thing, and from the male energy that was in the family. That shifted a lot. So, I feel like in my 30s, I was really wanting a feeling of who I dated to make me feel settled, right? To make me feel calm. Y'all, that did and did not happen. Right? So there was a little bit of that, and then a lot of not calm in that time frame. So now here we are. We're in our 40s and dating. And again, I did not think I was going to have to date. I thought I was done with this whole thing, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, dating is trash. I don't enjoy it. I'm not excited about it. I get it. It's a means to an end, because people are like, well, Stacey, how are you about to get married? You have to date. You have to get to know the person. I get it. But y'all, I'm just going to be honest with you. The idea of being like, so tell me about yourself makes me nauseous. Like, the idea that I have to do that and be like, tell me about yourself. So what do you like? What are your favorite foods? Oh, wow. So do you have siblings? Wonderful. All that chatter, that chit chat stuff that you have to do in order to get to know someone. Man, the idea that it's not exciting for me. I'm just being honest. It's not exciting for me. I'm the type of person that, yes, I understand that basic stuff, that foundational stuff is necessary, but I'm the type that really likes deeper level conversation. Like, let's get into something that makes me think, or is a conversation that people avoid, something like that. Because I feel like in those types of conversations, I'm finding out about your temperament. I'm finding out about, how you handle conflict. I'm finding out about your level of patience. I find out how you treat people. All of those things I'm able to glean from those type of conversations. So I don't want like the, oh, blue is your favorite color. Why? Oh wow, that's awesome. Like, y'all. Like, I just I was like, Lord, I don't know. This part of the game is not it for me, but this is where we are. And a lot of people will say, well, Stacey, just enjoy the ride, go with the flow. Whose flow? Whose flow are we going with? Because two people in a relationship or getting to know each other have entirely different flows. And I've done the go with the flow where I forgot that I was supposed to have one of my own, or that I do have one. I was like, oh, let me make sure he's good, and let me make sure he's comfortable, and let me. Y'all, I'm not in that space. I'm not in that space. And it's not that I'm not going to lead with who I am. I'm that type of a person, but I'm also in a very I'm in a space where I'm going to let him prove what he wants to, like, prove that you want to be with me, sir. Prove that. I'm going to wait. You know what I'm saying? And I think that comes with the healing that I've been in, recognizing that I have value that God assigned to me, and not feeling like I need to accept crumbs of behavior in any way, shape, or form. I've done that. I've been excited when, oh, he called today. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited and giddy over a phone call. But then I won't get a phone call for like another 2-3 days or a week. And oh, I'm busy. Y'all, there was this video that I just saw this week. And when I say I laughed so hard, because it was this guy who was talking about how men use that, oh, I was busy line. He's like, that is the biggest load of crud I've ever heard. Because he's like, I'm gonna show you this as an example. So what he did is he made a voice note, right? And he called and left a message for his person. It was during work hours, and he said, hey babe, so sorry. It's been a very hectic day, been a very busy day. I know that we're supposed to see each other later. So if you still want to, it's going to be a little bit later than we expected, but I just wanted you to know that you were thought of. I'm trying to be intentional with making sure that that you know that I'm thinking about you today. I'm paraphrasing, y'all, but when he finished the voice note, it was 20 seconds. So he's like, you're going to tell me you're so busy and so very important, sir, that you could not designate 20 seconds of your day to make sure that woman knew that she was cared about. She's not asking you to be on the phone all day at work. She got stuff she's doing too. But he's like, when you're intentional, when you prioritize, when you make sure that you are setting aside time for someone, and then you show it through your actions, not just by lip service, but through actions, it is highly appreciated, right? So I was laughing because I've heard that thing many times over. Well, Stacey, I really want to get to know you, and da 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 da. Yeah, I'm doing the whole. This is my imitation of a man, by the way. So I really want to get to know you. I think you're good people. I think whatever compliment of the day that he wants to throw my way. But then zero consistency, zero. So when people say, Stacey, has dating always been like this for you? No. And I kind of expressed that earlier. What I will tell you, that the Stacey of before would accept behavior that the Stacey of 40 something does not. And it's not because I feel like I'm all that, though God feels like I'm all that, right? But it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with more of understanding that God has assigned worth to me. And when I let somebody treat me as less than my worth, I'm actually disrespecting God, right? Because he has established my worth. And then every time I accept, oh, I'm gonna get around to it behavior, or, oh, I was so busy behavior. God, if you want to assign busy to anything, I would say God. You consider God busy, right? Because he's everywhere with everyone at the same time. Busy, right? He's always, he got stuff going on. But yet and still, every day he makes time to make sure that I'm cared for. Every single solitary day. At no time does he take a break or does he say, "So sorry, Stacy, I can't." I mean, sometimes I feel like he don't pick up the phone, but I always know he's there. Every single day, every single day. And so when he says this is your value, and I say, "Well, yeah, I know that you assigned a value to me, God, but you know, he's real busy. He's very important. He has a big job. He has this going on and that going on." And then I'll hear men say, and by the way, this is not an anti-man thing. I love y'all. I'm speaking about a perspective as a female, as a woman, because I can't speak about what it is to be a male or to be a man, right? As a woman, this is my experience. If you would like to make an oppositional post, feel free to do so on your podcast. I can only speak from my perspective. So, um, when people were asking me most recently, so I on when I'm on TikTok, I do this thing called Stacy's Dating Chronicles, and I talk about it from the perspective of healing and dating, right? And things you're able to see and things you're able to recognize, and areas where you've fallen short, and patterns that you've stepped into, patterns that you've dismissed, boundaries that you've set up, barriers and walls that you might have set up. So I talk about it from those perspectives because I think sometimes it's really important to be able to take something very relatable and then talk about it from the vantage point of healing. So in my healing, I've come up with specific things that I have to pay attention to. When you've been in a healing journey for the kind of the idea or the premise of hurt, so you've been hurt or you've been betrayed or you've been taken advantage of, whatever it looks like for you, it is very easy, especially the older you get, to put up barriers, not boundaries, barriers. I'm talking chain link fence, rabid dogs in the outside perimeter, a moat with alligators, a bomb-proof shelter, like all of that, right? It is very easy to step into that. Why? Because you don't have time for the dumbness, right? Like, I don't want to deal with your foolishness. I don't want to deal with any of your like sometiminess. I just don't. So in order to deal with, not to have to deal with that, everybody gets kicked out. There ain't nobody getting in this sucker. Barrier, wall, you can call it whatever you want, but that's what it is. And I did that. Why? Because initially, when you've been through a hurting position, that's what most people, that's what you're gonna gravitate towards. You want to protect yourself. So the easiest way to protect yourself is to not let anybody in. However, that's not how healing actually happens, right? Healing doesn't happen alone. And I've said this multiple times, it happens in community. You have to be in community with somebody else to recognize, are you growing in an area? Are you still being tested in an area? Have you surpassed a specific area? The only way you know that is by rubbing against someone else. So someone else's personality, their attitude, their temperament, their the way that they speak, whatever, something about them is now connected to you. And now you have to recognize, how do I react when this person does this? How do I react when this person does that? How do I react when somebody says they're going to call me back and then doesn't? Because I'm going to tell you that's a pet peeve. And for the longest time, I was like, okay, if they tell me they're going to call me back and they don't, initially, I'm going to try to show up in grace, right? But if you tell me you're going to call me back and now it's been 2 days, I just think you're a liar. At this point, I'm like, you're a liar. I don't care that you have stuff going on. Why? Because there's too much opportunity now in this current landscape that we live in. There's too much opportunity for you to reach out. You could text me. You could send me an email. You could call. You could reach me on, on many variety of social media that I have up, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook. There's a multitude of ways for you to reach me. So the fact that, and then don't let it be something like this, y'all. And I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but again, being older makes you, it should make you a better observer, right? You should be able to pay attention to the things that people do, the things that people are not doing, right? Because those things, not doing something is actually doing something. You're choosing not to do something, right? But if, for example, you tell me you're really busy and, oh my gosh, I have all this going on, and then I see you on social media just chatting it up with somebody, when I tell you the level of anger that I have to end up processing so that I don't end up like looking like a full-blown Looney Tune when I see you like just texting and talking and chatting when you said you were going to call me, I'm like, oh, okay, I see how busy you are. Again, it's not being intentional, it's not making me a priority, and it's not being honest. Because even if you just decided you did not want to speak to me, then that'd be different. Stacy, what you're asking me right now, I need to sit with that. I need to sit with it for a couple of days. I'm gonna get back to you. Okay, then I'm giving you those 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is you said. But when you tell me you've been so busy, you just don't have a moment to yourself, and then I see you, yucking it up on social media, sir, sir, and sir. That's all I can say. So the more that this sits, and I don't know if now it's the combination of the honey. It doesn't taste spicier, but I'm tasting more of the peach. I am tasting more of the peach now, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It's good. All right. So the other day, I did a dating chronicles about how men have approached. And I feel like the thing that I should first share is I think so many people have different definitions for dating. Because now you have people that, okay, I'm talking to this dude, I'm dating this dude, I'm courting this dude, I'm sorry, no, let me back up. I'm talking to this dude, I'm dating this dude, I'm exclusive now he's courting me, then we get engaged, and then we get married, right? And then in the midst of that, you have people that are like, oh, I'm in a situationship, I'm in a whatever ship. Y'all, the amount of foolishness and titles and names attached to dating now is another reason why I'm over it, right? Because the questions you have to now ask somebody is wild. It is literally wild. So, were you born like this? Are you attracted to females only? Are you this? Are you that? Like all these questions that back in the day was not even something I would be thinking about. But now it's like, okay, I got to ask all these additional questions because I don't want to have an okie doke moment later. Well, you didn't ask, technically, so yeah, I'm married technically, but we haven't lived in the same house in a long time. So technically, no, you're married, sir. You're married. So these are now additional. This is why when people ask me, what do you think about dating? I think it's trash. Basura, right? Because it is frustrating that I have to go through all of this, spend all this energy, all this time to get to know someone who really honest because of where they're at in their life. But there's a lid for your lid. You will find your pot, but try to be the lid to my pot because you're not. If you have to do all this and go through all the shenanigans and try to put on this mask for this person, and then you have to transform into something else over here, and then you have to Mighty Morphin Power Ranger into something else over there, like you're doing too much. Somebody is going to like you as you. It may not be me, but that's okay. It may not be the next person, and that's also okay, because that doesn't mean that you're not a great person. It just means you're not that person's a great person. So the other day, like I said, when I was doing my TikTok, and I specifically spoke about what it is to date me. Like what are the things that I look for? Because people ask me this nonstop, which I find kind of funny. Why people are curious. I could be very nitpicky, and I could be very specific, because obviously there are specific things that I like and things that I don't, right? What I kind of pared it down to is 4 C's, right? And again, this is out of the alphabet. I could go into probably all the letters except for X. I don't know what I would pick for X specifically. But when I was thinking about it, the 4 C's would be, I need somebody who has character, right? So if you don't have character, what are we doing exactly? So character, people are like, what do you mean by that? Do you have integrity? Right? Is that how people would see you? Not how you would like maybe label yourself because it makes you look good, but if I was to ask, people that are close to you, would they say you're a man of integrity? You're a man that is honest, that has the ability to hold people's confidence. That the person that I see when I see you playing basketball is going to be the same person that I see when I see you at church, is the same person I might see you at the restaurant when they bring you the wrong steak, right? Is that what I'm seeing? Or am I seeing 3 or 4 different persons? Now, it's not to say that something can't make you have a bad day or an off day, but overall, who is this person? Are you the same person? So integrity or character is one of the ones that's important to me. If people are going to ask me, probably the most important thing for me is going to be consistency. I say it all the time. And I'm talking about relationships of every kind. Consistency is important, right? Why? Because it's important to be able to have something to build on. And when you want that foundation for a relationship, consistency is going to allow for that. Because now I feel safe with you. I feel like, okay, I told this person a personal thing to me and I haven't heard anybody gossiping about it. So that may be, the first telltale sign. Or, I asked this person to do XYZ and they were able to do it. And whenever I call this person, when I need to talk or to vent, this person shows up for me. And, all the things, and it's, people say, oh, you're testing people. No, you're just observing. I'm not telling people to be anything different than what they are, because you can only hold that character. And by character, I mean like acting character, right? That role, you can only hold that role for so long. At a certain point, the mask is going to drop and I'm going to be like, oh, that's who you are. I didn't expect that that's really who this person is. So that's another important thing. Communication. This is, to me, probably the biggest challenge of dating is I hate having to pull and drag conversation out of people. I detest it. Like, detest it. So, how are you doing? I'm all right, right? So I can absolutely talk. I can 100% have a conversation, but I do not want to be in a relationship with someone where I'm the only one communicating, because I feel like sometimes, let me be honest, people read that as somebody who is lying, and that may not be the truth, right? But I need for somebody specifically, because we're talking about dating, right? When I'm dating someone, I want to be able to have a conversation with you. Like, hey, how's your day? What's going on in your life? How's your family? What did you think about that movie? Whatever. And if everything is like me not being able to get responsiveness, I personally can't do it. There are some people that, that's cool with. It's just not a thing for me. And a lot of men don't communicate. They literally are like, okay, sure, yeah, cool, let's go. If like, hey, what do you want for dinner? I remember I dated this one guy, and we were asking, what kind of pizza he wanted. He was like, meat. And we're like, okay, what kind of meat? Meat. Y'all, you know how aggravating that was? Do you know how aggravating that was? Dude, do you want pepperoni, sausage, I don't know, a hamburger, whatever else people put on, chicken? What do you want? Meat. Not really concrete response, right? And that's the chit chat of it all. But I really want a man that is comfortable talking about the things that matter to him, the areas where he is, maybe he's had fear, or the areas where he's felt judged in his life, or whatever. Like, I want for you, if I cannot delve into and you're not willing to express what's going on in your head and your heart, it will never work with me. Because I cannot function on that very like one-dimensional level. That's just not me. It doesn't work for me. And so people said, well, what if, the person is, this way or that way. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm not telling, and again, I say this all the time, I'm not saying for anybody to be different than they are. There's a lid for every pot. That is just not something that for me works. And I'll tell you, I've been in relationships on both ends of the spectrum. The last one, very emotional, right? Very emotional. I knew all the time what was going on, how the person felt, all the things, right? But I've definitely been with somebody who was not comfortable talking about, emotion, because men are not taught to do that. Men are taught that, if you talk about emotion, you're a woman, you're a sissy. Nowadays, people call it a simp. If God forbid a man is like, I agree with what the ladies are saying, then every man will be like, oh, he's just trying to get, he's trying to gain favor with all the ladies. And he's like, no, this is actually how I feel, right? So there's a lot of that type of a thing. But y'all, I can't. It's just not for me. It is not for me. I need for somebody who is emotionally intelligent. I need for somebody who can tap into and has their own level of self-awareness and can have conversations about areas where they're falling short, and areas that things that rub them the wrong way, and areas that they're working on right now in their life. Like, I need that level. And in your 40s, if you're not able to do that, then like, really, for me, something's gotta give. Something has got to give, because y'all, we're not getting any younger. We're not getting any younger. That process of being able to tap into that shows me additionally that man is doing some healing work, because there's a lot of unlearning of things that people have taught us that we're not supposed to do, and how we're supposed to show up. And if you don't do this, then you're not this, and if you do this, then you're that. We've had to unlearn some behavior, like people thinking, oh, only crazy people go to psychologists or to counselors. That's only something that crazy people do. Black people don't do that, because we just believe that we're just gonna talk to God about it, and that's it, right? So there's a lot of unlearning that you do in healing. And as you get older, there's a lot of unlearning, because you're like, why did we do this? This doesn't even make any sense. So now you're questioning things. You're challenging the why behind things, as opposed to just accepting everything that has been ever said to you at face value. And again, as you do that, then you might recognize, yeah, this was the truth. I don't even know why people don't get it. But you might also recognize this is not the case. And why do people not get it, right? So that's another thing. So that's the third one. And then the fourth one is Christ. The fourth and most important one. Fourth of my four C's is Christ. Y'all, I am not in an age or stage of my life, nor I don't think I've ever been, but I can't even express how much now at this age that I'm not willing to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't believe the same thing that I do. I'm just not. And people say, well, Stacy, maybe you're supposed to lead that person to Christ. And maybe that's the case, but that doesn't mean they're going to be my man. That means that I can be a woman of God that talks to people about the love of God and expresses to them and connects them with other people that can then show them more, and that may be the case. But the fact of the matter remains is I will not be with somebody who does not believe in the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost as the 3-in-1, as the one true God. I'm not going to do it. I get it that some people are like, oh, well, me and my husband have different faiths, and good for you, ma'am. Good for you. Congratulations. Stacy's not doing that. Why? Because dating in itself is hard. Marriage in itself is really difficult. The whole process of being with somebody else that has a different mind than you, is not in your own body, is automatically difficult. Why am I inviting more stress into a stressful situation? I don't care how much you love them. You can love them till death do you part, till from the alpha and omega of love, right? But at the end of the day, the fact that you at foundation have a different process, who you go to when when you pray is different. The fact that you don't pray because you don't believe in prayer, that's obviously going to be an issue, right? So I'm not in a space that I'm going to try to convince somebody about, I had somebody the other day who was like, Stacy, I'm going to talk to you about, trying to find out who the real God is, because I think you might be slightly confused. Sir. And I say this with all due respect. Bye. Bye. You can leave my room. You can leave my chat. I I don't believe in God because my mom believed in God, or my mom brought me to church, or my mom gave me my first Bible, or any of that stuff. That's great. That gives you a great basis to know, to get to know somebody, but it's not how you extend a relationship. I can't have a relationship with God because my mom told me to. That's not how it works. Initially, when you're a kid, sure. But in my 40s, that's still going to be, well, my mama told me that I had to believe in God. No, I believe in God because he has proven himself year after year after year, day after day. Right? So that's the foundation that I have. That's why I believe in him. So when people are like, well, it's not that big a deal, all you have to do is really, you just have to be with somebody who's kind. I kind of disagree. Because again, if you don't believe in what I believe in, at the end of the day, should we have family? Am I gonna have to like not do certain things because it offends you? And I'm not doing that, y'all. And I say that in talking about family because people are like, Stacey, we're just talking about dating, and you're putting too much on dating. Dating for everyone is different because there are some people that are dating just because they want to go out and have fun and spend time. And I'm not judging the fact that that's what you're dating for initially, right? I'm dating with intention. Well, I'm not dating at all right now. But dating with intention is my intention, right? Not dating just for the heck of it. It's dating to weed people out. Okay, cool. I thought you was this way, but you're not. So thank you. God bless. Have a good night, right? For me, it's like, who is the person that God has to be my husband? And he has instilled a lot of my abilities in my 40s as I've aged to be able to weed people out. Nope, this person I could, the person brought, and I remember this one time being out on a date and the food was brought wrong, and that happens, right? And it can be annoying, especially when you're like really explicit. Okay, I want my steak cooked like this, blah 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 blah. So I was with somebody and they brought the food. They brought the food wrong. As a matter of fact, I was at an event and the food was not the way somebody expected it to be. And they were like, oh my goodness. I mean, just the way that they handled it was just so unnecessary, so over the top. And I'm just like looking and like, really? Why do that? If you see somebody, perfect example, you go out and the person is disrespectful to the wait staff. I have an issue with that. Flinging stuff across the table or not looking at somebody when you're ordering food. The person is a human being. I get it. You might be looking at your meal, like you're looking at the menu to like make sure you order appropriately, but then you give them the menu, you look at them and you say thank you, right? I pay attention to all that. How do you tip? Oh, you're not cheap. You're like you like one of them people that you expect the $1 to stretch for like 10 weeks. That's not cheap. That's ridiculous. And again, I say this because I do want to be with somebody who's generous. I'm not talking about the fact that they have to be buying me stuff now I'm not opposed to that, right? But I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is generous in general. Are you generous with your time? Are you generous with how you speak to people? Are you like those types of things? Again, it goes back to character. Excuse me. So there's a lot that I could say as far as, looking at how I've changed my perspective has absolutely been a lot of, and when I start dating again, it's a lot of how I have noted the things that matter to me that I'm not saying don't matter to me now, but they don't lead the discussion. Before, I used to say this is when I was in my 20s. I would not date a man if he wasn't 6'5", 6 feet and above. Y'all, and that was like a real thing. In my mind, I'm like, and the reality, the truth behind it is that was the majority of men that were talking to me. They were, I think, like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". There was one guy I dated, I think that he's like 6'9" or 6'10". That was a little on the tall side. But the guy that I dated for a long period of time, for 6 years, he was 5'11", and I used to laugh all the time. I'm like, you almost made it to 6 feet, just almost. And he was like, really, Stacey? Because that had been a criteria for me before. Does it make sense? No. But you can also have your preferences. We're not talking about preferences now because then we could go into that all day. But I think it's important for you to have boundaries, have standards, not give up your standards. And your standards are the things that you should be holding true and holding fast throughout your dating experience toward marriage, right? Your standards. Again, I will not date a man who does not follow Christ. Period, point blank. No, thank you. I will not date a man that does not have character. Why? Because what do we have to talk about? If you're a shady character, then stay shady in the shade, away from me, sir. Do east, do west, do whatever you want to do. Just leave me alone. The next one is consistency. If you can't be consistent, then again, you're not allowing for me to feel safe with you. And when I don't feel safe in a relationship, there is no relationship. And then communication. If we can't communicate freely, if we're not going to communicate openly, if I have to drag every single bit of a conversation out, and then I feel like you're not telling me the full truth, or you feel like you're not telling me the truth because you're, oh, I don't want to tell the truth because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I saw this thing, and I've said this personally many times, is I will not allow somebody to be brutally honest to me, because you don't need to be brutal. The brutality is for you, the honesty is for me, right? And the fact that you can't separate them is a thing for you to work on. I saw this gentleman that said he said that people that can't be honest with kindness are actually abusive. And I sat with that for a second. And I was like, okay. I could see, and again, the word abusive, I'm sure, it make people recoil, because anytime people use language like that, people are like, I'm not abusive immediately. Just like if I talk about, discrimination or bias, people are like, I'm not racist. And I'm like, I never said that you were. But the thought that he was stringing together was that you're trying to hurt me with delivery of truth, instead of trying to think to yourself, how can I best have a conversation with this person that elevates this person, that cares about this person, that wraps this person and shows up for this person in grace and in love, because that's what we're biblically what we're supposed to do. Now, does that always happen? No, because we get mad and this and that and the other, right? But again, that what that says to us is, okay, this is an area where I need to work still. This is an area where I need to change a little bit. This is an area where I need to pay attention, and God is going to test me in a few more months, or in a few more weeks, or with the same person, or whatever it may be. But I think that we have to recognize that communication is about how you communicate in a style that is effective for the person that you're communicating with. It's not just about communicating to get things off of your chest. It's not about just communicating in a way that is easy for you, right? Because if that's the case, then talk to yourself, right? If you're trying to talk to someone else, it's really about, how can I best communicate with this person that shows care? Well, if you're trying to show care. If you're not, then you're not. But if you're trying to be in relationship with someone, I'm assuming that you want to lead or show up and care. And so communication to me is somebody who can effectively communicate. A man that can effectively communicate, to me, says that he's really done his work. He's really doing his healing work. He's really being intentional about being a better version of himself, because he recognizes that communicating with me, or communicating with whomever he's in a relationship with, it's about communicating the truth, but not trying to injure while I'm doing so. Right. And so that is something that I continue to work on. I know as a thing where you feel like people are not getting you, or you feel misunderstood, or you feel attacked, immediately I can go up on my haunches and go. And so that's an area where I constantly keep asking God to help me. But because I'm asking God to help me, I'm also now more aware of when it's a situation that's happening, right? I'm aware of it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it changes from the moment, because sometimes it's really about me having to say, God, okay, I failed again in the moment. Help me about, how do I navigate it in the moment? Because I can see it. I saw that it happened. I could even feel that. I could feel like I was feeling frustrated in this communication or in this moment, but I wasn't able to stop myself from XYZ. I wasn't able to stop myself from crashing out. I wasn't able to stop myself from, or I wasn't able to just ignore that somebody said something to me that was hurtful. I wasn't able, like, I wasn't able to just move past the moment. And so sometimes it's literally asking God, not just about, God, show me how this happens or how this show. It might be saying, God, I want to be a better version of myself, and a better version of myself already knows that there are going to consistently be people that don't see me as valuable or treat me as less than or treat me in a way that hurts my heart, right? They're going to be people that injure. That's just the nature of living life. How do I, in the moment when that's happening, how can I filter my response better, because I already know that it's going to happen, right? And that's a great level of awareness, but you might have to ask God for help in the actualizing of it, like I have to. So that is my talk for today. Dating in your 40s. Have some boundaries for yourself, which is why, or standards for yourself, which is why I have my 4 C's. And I do have B's as well and A's as well. Somebody was telling me when I posted it on TikTok that I should do the whole alphabet. But like I said, I don't have anything for Z. I don't know if I have anything for Q. I'd have to think about it. I mean, sorry, for X. I don't have anything for X. I have a Z one, but I don't have anything for X. So in any event, I may kind of go through the alphabet and talk about a variety of different things that I think are important for us to think about. But I also just want to stress this as my last thing. In dating, you're going to have people that are manipulative, right? You're going to have people that are manipulative, and this is happens in all relationships, but we're focusing on dating. What I want you to do is I really want you to ask God to help you see people that come into your circle like for who they truly are. God, who is this person truly, so that I can navigate this relationship? Who is this? Who am I in the midst of the relationship with this person? How do I show up when this person is around? How is this person impacting um, the woman that I'm trying to become? So I just want you to be aware that yes, manipulation is 100% something you'll have to learn to navigate, because people are people, and people have their own intentions, their own agendas when they interact with you. And so you have to continue to ask God to show up in the in the vetting process of all your relationships. All right. All right. So again, hopefully you guys gained something from this conversation. If nothing else, just to make sure that you have boundaries and not barriers. Barriers let no one in. Boundaries say, okay, I'm gonna give access to the people who deserve and have proven that they deserve access to me. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. All right, y'all. I appreciate you. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and extend to yourself and to me, your girl, a measure of grace. I will see you next week on the 15th episode of season 2 of Sipping Tea with Stacey T. Exactly. Boundaries, not barriers. Bye, y'all.